All right, we're live. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the September 4th Litchfield School Board meeting. It is now 5:30. We're going to call the meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any reviews or revisions to tonight's agenda by any board member?
No.
Any updates to the agenda from the superintendent? Nope. Perfect. Moving right into our consent agenda, any items off consent that the board would like to discuss tonight?
No.
Hearing none. We'll move into a summary of non-public actions from August 21st, 2024. Ms. Ames motioned to approve the July 10th, 2024 meeting minutes. Ms. Harrison seconded that motion, and that motion passed 4-0-1. Mr. Shoemaker abstained. Ms. Ames motioned to approve the August 7, 2024 meeting minutes. Mr. Plansky seconded the motion. The motion passed 3-0-2. A. Cutter and Christina Harrison abstained. Ms. Harrison motioned to approve the nomination of Lillian Law as GMS Grade 1 teacher. Ms. Ames seconded the motion, and that motion passed 5-0. Ms. Ames motioned to approve the nomination of Catherine Melch as LMS Spanish teacher. Mr. Plansky seconded the motion. That motion passed 5-0. Ms. Harrison motioned to approve the nomination of Susan Agaropoulos as a CHS science teacher. Ms. Ames seconded that motion, and that carried 5-0. Mr. Shoemaker motioned to approve the nomination of Hannah Appa as a CHS mental health clinician. Ms. Harrison seconded the motion, and that also carried 5-0. Mr. Cutter motioned to approve the retirement of Alana Langley as a CHS Spanish teacher. Ms. Ames seconded that motion, and that motion passed 4-1-0. Mr. Shoemaker voted no. Moving into presentations and recognitions, I'll turn it over to, looks like our curriculum director and special education director. Come on up.
All right. Wow, that's really loud.
You caught them all though, so you're
I
Welcome.
great.
Hopefully the first couple of weeks are going well.
They're going great. So I put a presentation. I don't know if we want to present it or if you guys just want to follow along with the link.
I'm going to try to get it up there. I haven't done this yet, so
Okay.
it's going to take me a few minutes.
With,
No, you go.
I could Jeopardy.
Yeah.
This one. Which one?
Oh, okay.
This one.
Okay, you're going to put it up?
I'm going to try.
Okay.
See how it goes.
Okay. Do it.
Oh, and I
It's a
am
good
told
test.
that these plugs should now work as well.
Oh.
Good. Okay, so while that is getting put up there, hey,
This is good.
the first few months have been awesome. Lots to kind of wrap our heads around and get acclimated. So I just, started with the getting acclimated. What did some of the big things that I've done over the summer and just the few, couple weeks that we've been in school. It's the slide. Thank you. So I really thought it was important over the summer to meet with the building administrators and kind of get an idea of where things are at with them and how I can help support them. So I set up a meeting with each team and got some background information and some things that they would like to see moving forward, and really got a good sense of where people were at currently and what I could do to help support them. So that was really helpful to have those conversations with those administrators. Brian and I we meet every week and we go over a lot of different things. The goals, the vision, we go over things that we're working on. I was just telling him today, I come in and rapid fire at him all the time, So those have been also great. And I have access to my predecessor's drive, so I really did a deep dive into documents and things, trying to get my head wrapped around everything that has been worked on, and that helped, but it was a little bit hard to decipher. So now that teachers are back, I'm like, okay, let's get a little more clarification on what these things are and move forward. And then most importantly, spending lots of time making connections with people and getting to know the team and where people are and what they need from me. The new professional staff orientation was something that I was really excited about planning. I looked at what was done last year and then did a little bit of a variation of it. Got lots of great feedback from the new staff. I tried to make it a little more interactive, and I infused some instructional strategy models so that they could kind of see, and then I would break from that and say, okay, like, why do you think we did it this way? And so it was great conversation and got good feedback from that. Then met with our amazing mentor coordinators at each building and talked about the mentor plan and how the process works. We reviewed the handbook. We already have some ideas for some tweaks to help make it even a more robust program. So that's exciting. So those were just some highlights of, what we're doing with new staff, but they have great plans to help support their new staff at each building. So that was great to hear. And we have a Google Classroom and working through making sure that everybody's knowledge is where it needs to be to support them. Grants. Grants are a huge, beast in and of themselves. But Title I is in and approved. Title II, there's been activities written and approved, which is awesome. Title IV, we haven't started yet because the other ones were a little bit more pressing. So there's some ideas, though, for what we're going to do with Title IV. ESSER 3 was a huge thing that I came right in July and was like, okay, we have this much money left. We have till September 30th to get it encumbered, and let's figure out how to best spend this money without let's just buy things, So we had several conversations with administrators, and I did a grants presentation actually for administrators during the admin retreat, just to kind of give them a high level overview of what grants are, because they were kind of unclear at what the buckets were, what's allowable, etc. So that was really helpful. So as of 5:00 today, I think we've got pretty much all of it spent, which I was very excited to hear back from the person at the state saying yes, because I did a whole bunch of activities last week and submitted them, and of course they're not all going to get approved, So I was like, so updated, emailed back and forth, and they're good to go. So ESSER is great, we're in good shape, which is awesome, and getting some really great materials and support for teachers through those.
Can I ask what kinds of things?
Yeah,
we plan
absolutely.
those funds
So the elementary school has some literacy and math and science things that are happening. They are doing a whole bunch of literacy supplements for foundations, and then they also requested some UFly manuals for all the kindergarten teachers and some special ed staff as well, which I thought was great. I was a UFly trainer, so I'm like, yes. So, though, and then some materials to go along with that. So that was a huge activity. And then some math materials and math subscriptions. So an extra math district subscription, Tang Math for one teacher, because, you know, we had to share. But just to kind of get some supplementary things for the math teachers and interventionists to try to bolster that a little bit. And then science for third grade, they wanted to get more hands-on. They have mystery science, which is on the computer, which is great, but they really were looking for more hands-on. Let's get in it, which I love to see. So mystery science actually has science experiment kits, so we were able to write in for those for elementary. Middle school has been doing this one book, one school push, which is great. I was very excited to hear they were doing that because I was working on that on the other side. And so Jen was like, can we do another round? So we were able to write in for another round of books for a different title, one that you wanted.
Oh, good.
Yeah, really excited about that one. And also some composition books for them to have a reflection journal.
Great.
Yeah. So that was the middle school, and more math intervention, not on the computer, because at that point, you know, it becomes just white noise. We were talking about that a little bit today. So hands-on, like graphing whiteboards and manipulatives and really good tangible intervention kits for the teachers. So really great activities. Yeah, and then the high school, we did one of Sarah's programs actually was requesting some for, is it life skills class? The life skills class. I was talking with Jessica, and she was like, you know, I really could use some lower level but high interest curriculum for these kids. So we looked at some programs, and we got some different books for history, for science. We did some more hands-on science experiments, nonfiction reading, a lot of different things to help bolster that program up there a little bit.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so just a sneak peek into, again, just a quick glance at some focus areas for this year. Last time I was here, we talked about the data, so those 3 focus areas really jumped out at me for what the critical needs are. We really need to look at that curriculum alignment, some grading practices, data-driven instruction, targeted intervention. I have planned grade level content meetings already for the whole year for all 3 buildings, which is awesome. I was very excited we could get those on the calendar. And then some more professional learning focuses in those 3 areas. And then the committees, I'm excited to get those up and running again. The Litchfield Curriculum Committee, we've kind of been emailing back and forth for different things, so I'd like to get us in a room together, and then revamping grading and reporting, because that kind of, I've heard, like, is a little wonky all over the place, so just breathing new life into that. And then we have professional learning people at every building that I also want to get together and talk about our goals for the year. Any questions?
Yeah, a couple. So, data-driven instruction and targeted intervention. What are your thoughts, and where are you focused kind of in the immediate future?
So the first thing I really need to do is get into those meetings. So I've been into the schools and I go into classrooms, and it's amazing because I have a lot of great conversations, talk with kids and all of that, and I'm amped up to get into more. But I saved September for teachers to get kind of acclimated, and I am doing curriculum and coffees next week at all 3 buildings, and that's where I'm just going to be set up. I'm bringing refreshments and coffee just for people to come and talk with me so I can get an idea of where their heads are at and everything. So in October, I start the grade level content meetings. So I really need to get a feel for where each team grade level is at in terms of how they're using their data and what kind of data they're using.
And decisioning being made off that data.
Yes, exactly. Like what does this look like here? Because not having any context behind how it's currently being used makes it a little challenging to this is where I want to focus. Yeah. So once I start to get a feel, because I use it as like you would a class differentiated instruction. Not everybody needs the same exact thing. So I want to make sure I find an entry point for each team, each teacher, that how I can help them with the data-driven instruction, how we use it, what we're using, what is good data to use, So it's kind of, I hope that answers your question.
So more to come, right, is essentially the answer, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I'd be really interested in, it's okay if there's no perspective on this yet, but reflecting on last year in curriculum and some of the feedback that we received as a board, it was all about the schools aren't adopting any curriculum instruction that I'm putting forth, right? And they won't even have meetings with me. So I'm curious, on your curriculum and coffee, are people going to show up? What is the adoption of you being in your new role in the actual buildings themselves with the teachers?
So I am trying to do a rebrand, what this role is. I am here to support teachers. I'm there for teachers. And that's what I'm hoping the curriculum and coffee will start to show. And I hope that me being in the buildings and, just hopefully being approachable, you can talk to me. I welcome your, feedback, your calls, your, stop me in the hallway, whatever kind of conversations. So I'm really hoping to get people to understand that this is a supportive role, and I am here to help drive their instruction and just how can we do this together as a team. I'm not coming at you with do this, we're building things together. And we actually just did lunch and learns for the first time. I partnered with Karen Bizerjon, the digital learning specialist, and we're talking about Conmigo. And, so we did a high school session yesterday, and, we're hoping to just drum up more business, and we think, by the more we do it, the more people will understand what it is. It's not just to sit and it's what do you need? What do you want to talk about? And that's how we will facilitate this session. And they were just quick, 20, 25-minute little pieces. And if you want more information, then invite us in and we'll come in and we're happy to make it longer. So I'm hoping that it's going to, I'm hoping I'll have many people at all curriculum and coffees.
I hope you do.
My invitations haven't gone out yet, so that was kind of a sneak peek. But they're going out tomorrow. So.
Right. Any other questions from board members?
Thank you.
You seem to be doing an amazing job. I'm very happy to have you here, and I think that the feedback that I've gotten initially has been very positive, especially from the other administrators. So.
Thank you.
Are we sticking with science in grade 8, or are we moving into special education?
whatever you guys want to
Whatever.
do.
Follow
Yeah,
the agenda,
we can
special education up
Okay.
next, then we'll switch back.
So I use the same template that was in my drive that was used before, so if it's not as fancy as Sarah, so I apologize. But also, I just kind of stuck to, what was talked about this time last year, so if there's anything else going forward that you would like me to present or talk about, just let me know, I'm happy to adjust it. So something that I noticed that was at the top of all of them was just numbers by school, so I calculated this as of, last week. I think there's been a couple of changes since then, but overall, the percentage I noticed from last time this year is down than what it was before. So those are
We're
just
over
the
20 at one
numbers.
point.
Yeah,
Definitely over
so that's
20.
just the numbers that we are at as of 8/28. So for extended school year, I did have the opportunity to check in on all the buildings during the summer when I started. It was really interesting. I only have one perspective of ESY coming from a different district, so it's always interesting to see how other districts do things. I kind of got an understanding of it. I think going forward, obviously not right now, but as the year goes on, working with the coordinators in the buildings and trying to come up with something, to me, it seemed a little complex. And
Sorry,
maybe
what's
that's
ESY?
extended school year, I apologize.
Extended
So
school
for students that have IEPs that sometimes that break in the summer really causes some sort of regression in their skills, so they need that time in the summer to be able to maintain where they were at when they left in June. But then there's also summer scholars, summer academy. I don't know if they're the same thing, different things. So going forward, I think I personally need just a little bit more clarity on kind of who does what and where and why. I'm not saying it's bad. My understanding is it's a little complex, and if we can make that a little bit more streamlined, I think that would also help families as well. Hiring, we did just hire a new special ed teacher at Campbell, so that means we only have one opening left at LMS. I'm looking every day and there's still no people, so, but keep fighting. But we do have a contracted part-time special ed teacher who is not only fulfilling the service plans for students at St. Francis, but also filling in a little bit at LMS to be able to help them, which has been incredibly, incredibly helpful. And there's also many para positions open, but I think obviously the staff we have are doing a great job, as they always do, being able to fill in and doing what we need to do to be able to support these students. I did meet with Kara Carney, who is the ELL teacher for the district for the upcoming school year. She shared there's currently 9 students in district who receive ELL services. I learned a lot from her just because ELL is not my background, so it was really interesting to sit with her and kind of learn a little bit more about it. And actually Sarah joined us as well because she has some experience. So I think moving forward for me personally to learn a lot more about that is something that I would like to do, just because it's not my background, but just kind of seeing how some of the ideas that she has moving forward, I definitely want to continue that conversation with her so that we can also support that group of students as well. Like Sarah, I've done a lot of going in the buildings these past couple months just to meet with staff, kind of see. I also met with all of the principals in each of the buildings just to talk about how special it's structured at each of the schools. I didn't need as much information from the middle school just because I was there last year, but learning a lot about elementary and high school and how they're set up as far as, caseload division and services and things like that, for me was really helpful to sit with all of them to learn about that. And again, as the year goes on, I definitely want to be in those buildings more, just again to kind of see it in action and see what it looks like. I still plan to meet with the special ed departments at each school on a regular basis. I've already been invited to GMS, and I know as the high school and the middle school are still finalizing their schedules that they plan to invite me as well. So I want to be a part of those. And again, once everyone's kind of in and settled, I want to see things in action. I've already told them that if I come in the room, it's not evaluative, it's not judgmental, it's just for me. I've met the teachers. On paper, I know what they do, but I want to be able to go in and kind of see what it looks like, just for my own knowledge and my own benefit. But so it's been a long 2 months of learning and observing and meeting people and trying to put names and faces together, which I'm sure I'll probably mess it up. But for me, it's been really fascinating. I mean, I like learning, and so just learning how special ed works not only just outside of middle school but also in this district has been really interesting to me.
How are you finding the balance of your day-to-day tasks?
It varies. I know that this job kind of has a lot involved in it, and I'm sure that's not the first time that someone has mentioned that, but so far, knock on wood, so good, but, you know, as the year goes on, if, you know, I can see things kind of maybe, cause special ed's such a huge undertaking, I mean, it's the bulk, it's the majority of this job. I can kind of see as the year goes on, it becoming really, potentially challenging for trying to fit it all in. I'm gonna do my best, but, certainly so far, I've seemed to be kind of handling everything and being on top of everything as much as I can be.
All right, keep us posted.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
No question.
No? We'll turn it back over to Dr. Taylor.
All right. So sorry for the last minute ad. I was going through. So the curriculum review is the same document you guys had when you first approved. So grade 8, like we said last time, Mr. Paiva went through and did the 3 units, and I met with him, and we worked on some things. So it's ready. The LCC committee gave great feedback, thought it was wonderful and ready to go. So I'm bringing it back to you guys with their blessing on going forth with adding the 8th grade curriculum to the approved science curriculum. I don't know if we have to do it as a first read first, and then we'll, yeah.
I don't
Can you
think so.
guys
I think
click
we
on
can
it?
just approve it.
Yeah, we can just approve this.
approve
It's
it.
not policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the grade 8 science curriculum.
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, excellent. And that covered both of the items on science, right?
Yes,
Okay.
they were
Just wanna make sure.
the same, really.
Perfect.
I just gave Renee 2 links just in case.
Thank you. Appreciate the update. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, well, moving on into community comment on agenda items. So this is the first public comment area of tonight's agenda. There will be a second opportunity to speak later this evening. This community comment is specific to agenda items only at this time. Any community members like to speak? I see nobody rushing up to the microphone. We'll go ahead and close that. Moving into correspondence, and I'll turn it over to Vice Chair Ames.
Thank you very much. On August 22nd, Tara Hirschberger, a parent and the CHS football team mom, circulated an invitation for the board to attend their, quote, adult mini life lessons that they held for their football team on August 23rd. Mr. Cutter responded. Unfortunately, it was the next day, so we weren't able to make it, but it sounded like a good program. On August 23rd, Mr. Oblenis emailed the board advising that there is not a link to email the full board on the homepage, and Mr. Cutter responded that there is a link on the school board page of the district website. On August 23rd, Mr. Oblenis emailed the board a second time requesting a copy of Dr. Taylor's report to the board from the August 21st agenda. There were responses from Mr. Cutter, Renee Burgess, and Ron Oblenis. And then on August 23rd, we received a third email from Mr. Oblenis advising that since seeing the presentation, his questions regarding SAT scores were answered and he did not need a further response. On August 22nd, Mr. Cutter sent a text message to the board with a picture of the district welcome day and praising a great and positive start to the school year. And there were responses from Heidi Ames, Peter Plansky, Tina Harrison, Matt Shoemaker, and Brian O'Connell. On August 22nd, Renee Burgess emailed the board circulating the citywide contract to the board for review, and there were responses by Christina Harrison, Mr. Cutter, Mr. Plansky, Renee Burgess, and Mr. O'Connell. On August 23rd, Anna Marati emailed to the board circulating the check manifest. On August 23rd, Jan Sullivan emailed the board circulating draft public and non-public minutes from our August 21st meeting. On August 28th, Mr. Cutter texted the board, circulating a WMUR article regarding Bedford's installation of an $800,000 active threat system. On August 28th, Peter Plansky emailed the board, forwarding email correspondence with the town moderator regarding setting up a table to survey town members regarding facilities issues on primary day and election day. And from what I could read from the email, the consensus was because it's a federal election, it would have to be done outside of the building. I think I have that correct. On August 28th, Mr. O'Connell sent a text message to the board regarding a confidential student discipline issue, and there were responses from each of the board members and Mr. O'Connell. On August 29th, Mr. Cutter emailed the superintendent and copied the board, thanking him for, with thanks and gratitude for his presence in the schools for the first week. And there were responses by Heidi Ames, Peter Plansky, and Brian O'Connell. And then on August 30th, Renee Burgess emailed the board circulating the draft agenda for the September 4th meeting. And that is what I have for correspondence.
Okay, excellent. Speaking of that superintendent, we'll turn it over to him for his update.
So I just want to give a quick summary of the opening of schools. I thought it went really well. We've been at it now for a week and a half now. Happy birthday to Campbell High School, 25 years today. Got my Campbell swag on. I know this is on camera. This is great. This is my first one, so I'm very excited for my Campbell gear. The other schools have been giving me t-shirts and stuff as well, so it's been great. Everyone was wonderful. I'll echo what Sarah said, and Julie will probably say the same, as we've been trying to be in the buildings as much as possible, and it's been great kind of seeing everything in action. Just for me, selfishly, just seeing literally how everything operates at different levels, everything from drop off in the morning to pick up in the afternoon, seeing the different assemblies, the fire drills. I wrote this in my weekend message, but the fire drill at the middle school was like unbelievable. It was so quiet and well organized and like well done. I've never seen anything like this.
That wasn't the story last year.
That's not how it usually is over there.
I don't know what was in the water or whatever it was, but like they came out and you could hear a pin drop. They went right to their assigned spots with their homeroom teachers. They had every kid accounted for in probably like 3 minutes. Like it was really impressive. And as someone who has run a lot of fire drills in his day, like that was great to see. And I think it's just been wonderful. Teachers and students seem really pleasant, really happy in the buildings, really engaged. There's been wonderful stuff in every classroom as we've kind of gone through. Really pleased and kudos to everybody for the hard work they've done to get everything off the ground. So good start to the year. The next thing is capital needs assessment. We talked about this last time. I linked the numbers I'm going to say just out of ease right there. Just so when I say them out loud, you don't have to scribble down and try and write them down. Reached back out to Onsite Insight to get prices on the other two schools. This is all based on square footage, so they are slightly different for those who can't see. It's 8,500, sorry, as we talked about last meeting for Griffin Memorial. 9,750 for the middle school, and then 12,750 for the high school, for a total cost of about 31,000. So I want to talk to the board on what you want to do for next steps. We talked about this a little bit last night at the FIC as well.
Yep.
On how we want to kind of proceed with this. I mean, again, part of this is obviously Griffin. Like I don't want to like lose sight of that. But also, selfishly, what I think one of our goals is from the SAU is to create a long-term capital improvement plan for the district. And that is part of what this would help us establish, because they would come in, tell us the shape of everything, and also project it out for us years of when these things kind of need to be done. So I guess talk about how we want to tackle that CIP plan, whether we want to continue this to be part of that plan. If we do the process to utilize on-site insight here, what is everyone's comfort level with that kind of moving forward? Just, this is gonna kind of bleed into my next step here. We've been doing health inspections as part of the facility renewal process for the state the past 2 days at each of the schools. We're expecting that report from the health inspector tomorrow or Friday. And he's gonna have a lot of comments on what needs to be done. Some of them are very easy, manageable tasks, like replace that ceiling tile because there's, a stain on it, to some larger things like your roof might need to be fixed in Griffin, because it's failing. So those type of things we're going to see in that health inspection report, which also will give us another set of information on what we need to do from a facility standpoint. And he went to all 3 schools. And
That's our own local health inspector?
yeah, our own local health inspector.
Yep.
The state will also be coming in at a later date to do their inspection of each of the buildings as part of this facility renewal process, and they'll have their list of stuff that they will want us surely to address as we go through that. So
Do we know when they're coming?
we'll have to submit this, the health inspections through the state. That's the second part of the renewal process, and then they'll reach out to us to schedule a date. I would imagine, I haven't done this process yet, but I imagine they'll try and get that done by December 31st, because that's a date in this process for them to get stuff done, so I think that's where they're targeting. But don't quote me on that, because we gotta organize that, and if it's past that, it might be past that, so.
Okay.
I do want to share with the board just some feedback we got from Carrie Douglas with respect to this. So I think the FIC committee as a whole feels that this is a good idea. Carrie did raise the point that the Turner report was the result of a warrant that that did go to warrant, and she did want to make sure that I pointed that out to the board, because I did let her know we were considering doing it out of a trust fund.
I wrote that as well, and that was one of the things we did discuss about. I want a delicate balance. I don't want to misspeak on anyone who was here previously or anything along those lines, but I know from our standpoint as new people in the district, we want to build trust with everybody, with the board, with the community, with our teachers, with our staff, with families. I don't want to step on anyone's toes on any of this. You know, like if whatever I want the schools to be in good shape and improve, and for the kids in Litchfield to be able to be in good facilities. So, and to do that in a fiscally responsible way. That's the goal of all this. So when they're bringing up the warrant article and looking at the H.L. Turner report, I reviewed that again today. You know, I think there's similarities and differences of what these two things represent. The H.L. Turner report was an architectural report.
Can you remind me of the date of that report?
I think it was 2017.
2017, I think.
Okay.
And there's valuable stuff in there. I don't want to minimize that work. There's very valuable stuff in there. I viewed that as a slightly different style report because it was done by an architecture firm, where this is done by essentially an inspection firm. So I think they're slightly different. But I respect that, you know, that report also was talking about needs assessments at each of the three buildings, and there are a lot of similarities from this. And I want to just build trust with everybody. Like, if this has to be a warrant article, we can do other work to get there. We have other stuff coming in, like the health inspection, whatever we're gonna get from the state from that. We know our schools. We can start creating a CIP plan with that. If that makes people feel more comfortable and helps build that trust to do a warrant article, fine. I think it's okay to do this through one of the trusts, like I do, because this is related to capital improvements. I also think we should discuss on whether or not, now that we've gone over $10,000, if we do this as a grouping, whether we need to put this out for bid, and I think you can go back and forth on that as well, on whether or not this is a bid-worthy thing. So I want the board to feel comfortable with whatever their decision is, so we have that trust with everybody.
I guess, you know, I agree with that. My concern is twofold. Number one, we don't know what's gonna come out of the health inspector reports, right? And the scope of work that arises as a result of that should be informed. It would be useful to have it informed by a larger inspection, because we may be, you know, whatever they flag, let's just say it's the roof, right? If we know that the roof is bad, but we have this report and we think that there's other work that makes sense to do in conjunction with that, that would be useful. The other thing that I just think that we need to be cognizant of is we are routinely criticized for not having a plan on how to maintain our infrastructure. And I know that's a real high priority for the superintendent, and I think that this can really springboard that plan, you know, and it's something that I believe we would have prior to budget season. So it just gives us a lot of beneficial information to have sooner rather than later.
My view? The Turner report was in 2017.
Yeah.
We had a capital reserve fund authorized by the public in 2020, right? For this very purpose, right? And so for me, while I appreciate the warrant article and I think that makes a lot of sense, I think in this particular case, the public, through the warrant article already approved, have given us that authorization. I don't think we need to go to re-warrant, put this on an article again for the same thing that the voters have already approved. That's my view. Further, I think by waiting until March of next year to present to voters, further delays any action by yet another year, where I'm really looking for this as hopefully a quick hit report that will help influence potential warrant articles for March of next year.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to get going on this. Like, I have a
I
version of what
absolutely
this
agree. I
look
agree
like
with
right here.
I do,
You said
you know,
100%.
one thing I haven't been able to say, because I haven't thought of it prior to last night, but I do wonder if we can ask them how much they're able to, you know, I know that they come through and they say, okay, that vent right, those vents right there need to be replaced. Are they able to tie any of these things together to help us understand what things you might be doing in conjunction? Because, you know, in the FIC,
Yeah.
we've had some conversations about pay-as-you-go fix, you know, repairs. And I want to make sure that we have a way to actually analyze this information when we get it.
Yeah, so I didn't re-bring this, I don't think I re-brought the sample reports from them that they sent, that I have. Maybe I did. Yeah, it's not right here, so I don't want to waste time digging for it. But I think that's part of what they do, right? Because they map that out over like a 20-year time frame for you on what your improvements should be. And they're going to make those decisions. Okay, you need to build up to this year where you're going to do all this together because it's all together, right?
Okay.
Like, you're ripping off the roof, you're going to do anything that needs to be done underneath that roof or on top of that roof while you're ripping it up, as an example, you know. I think that they do factor that in part of their report. But when we reach out to them, I mean, they're doing that work for us. That can be one of the things we request. Like, can you, like, make sense of, like, how all this ties together and the sequencing of when this stuff
Like, give me
needs
a
to happen.
district, I appreciate the per building view, but
Yeah.
give me a district-wide.
Right, yeah. And I think we can request that of them, you know, they'd be amenable to doing that.
Yeah, I agree with what Andrew said about the timing of it and how it, you know, it's obvious something needs to be done at GMS, and I'm also hoping for something to be on the ballot in March that begins to address that, what, you know, whatever that is. The other point that I was going to make too is that in order to withdraw the funds from the capital reserve account, we need to have a public hearing.
Yes.
So as long as that's posted and people are able to come and share their input with us, supporting or not supporting that with, you know, that withdrawal, I think we're covered.
I did make that point at the
Yeah.
FIC meeting.
Yeah.
The other piece, you know, I agree with everything that you both have said, so I'm not gonna repeat it. The additional piece on this is, at what point, and this is a general question as we're discussing our relationship with the town and budget committee, is authority invested in the school board to make decisions regarding long-term planning? Because if we have to, if the thought process is we should be going to warrant for every long-term planning purchase of $31,000 or more, I mean, we would be having dozens of articles on, and which maybe some people do support. I think there are some people that would prefer to have it be done that way, but to me, this gets into, you know, we have a responsibility as school board members that's been invested in us by the voters in order to make these decisions and move these things forward in a expeditious manner, and this is, to me, part of it.
Yeah, and further, I would just say that the warrant article in March, to me, this past March, was not an indication of do nothing. It was an indication of, we still need to figure out what that something
What the right solution is.
I agree.
And this is a mechanism for us to determine that.
Or at the very least, get information about the options.
Yeah, because, I mean, you know, people talk about the Turner report. Again, it is older, but also every time someone commissions something, right, like that's the ideal time to really be digging into it further, because you have the opportunity to ask the people you're hiring questions that you may have that arise as a result of that. And that is definitely a challenge with the Turner report that I've found for us trying to work off of that.
I do think the timing too is wonderful. We have 3 different kind of entities all looking at these buildings at the
Yeah.
same time, like from very different
Right.
perspectives. Like, you could have this group coming in, they're gonna look at totally outside, no relation to all of it, look at your capital needs there. You got the health inspection that's gonna come, that's looking at it from a health perspective, and then you're gonna have the facility operations, which is gonna give another perspective. There'll be some crossover with that in the health inspection, obviously, but,
We
you know,
should
you
have
have
a
3
very
kind of
clear
very
picture.
independent.
Well, then we
different
also
entities.
have a bunch of feedback from Kyle Barker,
Yeah.
which this will help also, you know,
Right.
kind of vet out some of, for anyone that has doubts about what he's presenting, it'll vet out some of the stuff that he's.
And I think with like the Turner, just, you know, I looked at it again this morning, it's 193 pages, so I'm sorry if I don't have every part of it memorized yet, but you know, the health inspector left yesterday as we were walking out to the parking lot, and he's just like, that roof, as we're leaving Griffin, and the roof's not even talked about in the Turner report, you know, so 7, 8 years ago doesn't sound that long, it's also an eternity, you know, from the terms
For a
of the
building
building.
that old.
Well, and that roof is like been done in 4 different sections. They're not all the same
Yeah,
age.
yeah.
You know, some part of it's like 15 years old, some of it's like 40 years old.
Yeah.
So my view, and Mr. Plansky, I want to make sure I give you an opportunity to speak, but my view is to move forward. We have the hearing at our next meeting. We'll notice it properly. If there's any community comment for or against, we'd love to hear it, as always. But at that time, I would like to see the board vote after the hearing and make a decision.
Yeah, I would agree with how you're thinking there, Andrew. I think the money was already authorized to use it. It's the time to use it. I don't think we have to go back and rewarrant. Now, we are gonna wanna put more money back into that account at some point.
We do
And
every
that will
year,
be the
right?
ask.
Typically do, yeah.
Well, I think that's also, this is to help us, inform us on
What to put in
long-term,
that account.
like, we're gonna, you know, at some point, we should be putting more money in, because then we can pay for things instead of having to bond things and.
Yeah, I mean, interested at end of year time, end of year projections, right, what that's looking like, and do we consider a potential warrant article percentage-wise that allows us to put more in than we have historically?
Yeah,
As
just
an
to start
option.
to prepare.
Well, I think once we get through this report and we get the numbers, then we can figure out what we need over the next 10 or
Yeah.
20 years.
And then you start stacking it. So
Yeah.
like, this is a sample one from a different district, but they have like roughly the amount, and the idea is the warrant article matches what their projection is for that year. So it's always just an in and out, like it's just gonna match the number that you've projected out for the capital need for that. And once you get it off the ground, it's just, like we just did with the benefits one, right? Like it was in and out, like, you know, just like you put it in there, keep it there, take it out, no tax impact, and you just start that cycle.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the direction of the board. Any other?
No, we'll try and get this posted tomorrow, first thing in the morning. I'll reach out to the union leader, get that going and post it around and stuff like that, so, thank you.
Great, thank you.
The next thing I kind of talked about, but I'll go into just a smidge more detail. Do you have that one? I can get off of real quick. See my notes. So we've been going through that facilities renewal update. You'll probably hear about this almost every meeting, even though we're gonna go through a little lull through it in the next coming months. Part 1 we submitted, just for your knowledge, which includes a self-inspection, the kitchen health inspection, fire inspection, the chemical policy that we're gonna go for a second read tonight, and the chemical hygiene plan for the district and stuff is the type of things that we include in that document, along with some questions. And then part 2, which we're way ahead of, I think the town's been great about that. Fire department's helped us out with that a lot. We have to submit an updated health inspection for the entire buildings by December 31st, and we had reached out last week. They could slide us in this week, so we're doing that right now. As I mentioned, the past 2 days, we've been at all 3 schools. We were at GMS and LMS yesterday, and at CHS today, making kind of the rounds with the whole team of people looking at that stuff. Array of stuff through the health inspection. Some of it is as simple as replacing, a ceiling tile because there's a stain on it, to more significant things. Some of it is cleaning stuff, like we have to do a better job of making sure certain areas are cleared out and identifying what those areas are, maybe putting tape on the ground so people know not to put storage there and those type of things. Nothing too unexpected, I think, as we've gone through it, but we'll get those reports. And probably provide an update on those reports at the next board meeting, so. And then the last thing, give that back to you. Oh, that's mine?
Yep.
You took yours back?
You're good.
Excellent. And then open day enrollment, just to continue to update enrollment. We have both opening day and today's enrollment numbers there. Great attendance on the first day of school. It looks a little deceiving. Remember, pre-K didn't start on the very first day of school. If you go to the second tab there.
35 absent.
I know, right? I saw that too, and then got reminded pre-K starts
Right,
a little bit
it's
later. than-
Junior
than-
skip day or PK skip day already?
A little bit later than everybody else, which is good. I always get a kick out of like the top grades don't have any absences. Like those kids are ready to rule the school and they're there, ready to go.
Check
But-
again in May.
Yeah, right. It'll be a little bit different as we approach the end of the year. But again, everyone's really positive on that first day of school. We updated it here, for today's attendance, and we'll update it, about every other meeting with our current attendances for everything.
In terms of enrollment data, how hard would it be to see, if we were to take the entire district population as of today, so class of 2025, all the way down to, I don't even want to guess what the it's gotta be something ridiculous, though. And see, well, I mean, it'd be easier, because, I mean, the seniors would be the hardest one, but to see each year that they were in the district, like their cohort, what the enrollment was for each year that they were in the district.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about enrollment and declining enrollment, and, the high school only has 340.
We have that.
Yeah, we do.
Where is it?
It wouldn't be hard to do.
We already have it.
We have all the data. We just need
There's
to
a file on a consent agenda, it's enrollment projections, and we have actuals from all the recent years, and then we'll
Oh,
go
okay.
projecting in
Never
future
mind.
years, and you
Yeah,
can
that's
follow
right.
there.
Someone did it for you. That's
Yeah.
great.
Genius idea.
It's probably Doug Todd's work, so
Yeah.
thank you, Doug.
The only reason I say it is because, the elementary school, 425, I mean, we're,
So look, I mean, the numbers, and I'll just go district-wide for tonight, right? 18-19 school year, we had 1,304 students. 19-20, we had 1,307. 2021, we had a dip to 1,225, right? Moving into 22-23, we had 1,206, and moving into the projections that we have right now, we have 1,115. Right? So,
it'll be interesting to see if we're going back up, though, given that the younger grades are starting to fill more.
Well, they did a projection a couple of years ago, right? But I think, given the building that's going on in town, it may be
The
different
building
than
in
that.
town and COVID.
Yeah.
There are COVID babies.
COVID babies
Yeah.
are coming.
It's a baby boom.
Yeah.
And they're gonna make their way over here.
That's true.
Not
Yeah.
in my house,
That's
don't
what
worry.
Kyle's complaining about in
not my house either.
No more babies.
I'm doing my part. I'm repopulating our schools by myself.
Appreciate it,
I mean,
thank
through
you.
through the budget process, and we'll probably use very similar, if not exactly, the formula Doug has used in years past. You do enrollment projections, right? Based upon, birth rates and other things, yada, yada. And so it'll be interesting to see, because we are gonna get the COVID bump, that's a real thing, and the construction bump, like how those numbers kind of mirror stuff like that.
Do we know how many kids have come from the horse farm? I think over the summer, we heard there were maybe 3 kids
Yeah, I
or
don't
4
know.
kids coming from over there, but that first group of 3 or 4 buildings is sold out, I think. There's always cars there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, not sure.
So we'll just have to see where it goes. I mean, Kyle Barker presented something that looked like we were increasing enrollment when he was factoring some of the COVID numbers and those type of things.
But I think it's gonna be a bit before they hit the high school.
It will be a
Right.
long bit before
So
they hit
it's
that.
gonna,
yes.
we're gonna see an increase probably at lower end.
Lower
for
grade.
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and we've all seen this coming.
Yeah.
When all those lower class sizes were at the elementary school, we're like, yep, it's just gonna go all the way up
Still kinda
through.
shocking though.
It is shocking to see.
I mean, you can know it's coming,
Right.
but still kinda look at a number and say, wow,
And
we're
that's
down
also
that
been-
200
been-
since 18.
Right, but that's also been statewide. Declining enrollment is
well,
statewide.
it's all over the country.
Yeah.
That generation are not having as many kids as,
Right, right, and that was Kyle kind of presented like a sound wave kind of model.
That was really interesting.
Which
that
was really
presentation.
interesting,
I
like you
hadn't
have the
seen
baby
it like
boomers,
that.
and then you have,
The
Gen
babies of
X,
the baby
babies of the
boomers.
baby boomers,
Yeah.
and it's like a ripple, but each ripple is a little more,
Yeah.
little less. So we're due for another ripple, but it won't be as big of a ripple as
Right.
the generation of.
The other thing that he pointed out was, in discussing the construction aspect of it, was that his projections, or his data suggests, basically just based off of birth rates, that we will get back up to, pretty close to capacity for our schools, just based off of birth rates alone, not even factoring in developable land
Yep.
or additions to developable land. I don't have the, nitty-gritty data on that, but it was an interesting point that he was making.
The one that matters though is the attendance, the enrollment taken in October,
October
right?
1st.
October
Yeah.
1st.
So that's
October
the,
1st is the official
the
enrollment.
official
deadline.
one, okay.
And just like, we're 2 weeks in, part of the
Yeah.
second week. We've had kids in and out. Like, we've had kids de-enroll, we've had kids enroll in the building. And it's not high numbers, but it's been a little, and that will continue to be that way over the next, month certain things sort out, and we deal with moves and other things and figure out everything that's kind of going on where people are actually living and stuff like that. We'll gain some kids from different districts, like we were tracking down, not getting all the details, but tracked down a couple that should be coming to our schools, and would vice versa. We have some kids that probably should be going to other schools too. Other districts are doing the same, so. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Anything else for the superintendent?
That's it for me. I'll turn things over to Julie.
One other question for you, if I may.
Yeah.
Just because the board hasn't received an update, nor have I actually, on LMS Solar. Where are we,
Alan, that's a good question.
where are we with that?
Well,
Laughing, that's not a good
I
sign.
know. I haven't seen anything from Kay
Oh,
in
no.
a good month and a half.
Okay, I'm gonna write this down.
no, it's not like a bad update. It's good. We're continuing to work on our communications, everybody on that avenue. We were doing the health inspection yesterday, and they were working on some wiring, and they told us they're gonna have to shut down the power at the school, for 4 to 6 hours at some point to do some crossover
Saturday's
thing.
great for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we said, it would've been really nice,
For
the
two.
4-day weekend
Yeah.
would have been a great time to do that. So we told them we need, a heads up, and thankfully, the fire captain was with us, and he said, you need to tell us as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
So that prompted Jen to get on email with Kay to kind of say like, hey, can we get a more
Yeah.
sustained update here? If you're ready to flip a switch like this, like, we need to plan this out,
Yeah.
like, we need to coordinate this on what the day is, make sure the building is truly empty, coordinate with the fire department, and she was receptive of that, and so we're targeting, Columbus Day kind of weekend, that kind of extra day, because obviously we don't want to just shut down school randomly, because we don't have power for 4 to 6 hours, because they're crossing stuff over and everything. So I guess that's where we're at with solar.
We have timelines and dates that were in that contract addendum,
Yeah.
right? I want to make sure that we're staying true
Yeah.
to what was committed to in that addendum.
Yeah, we can follow up and look
Okay.
more closely and provide an update.
So that means, right, this whole storage capacity, flux capacitor thing is going out back soon.
Yeah.
Back to the future.
Yeah.
I guess the other question is, any new news on the bus
Yeah.
contract?
Well, we got buses still, so that's
Right.
good.
I think we're guaranteed buses till the 10th, though.
We're guaranteed, they're negotiating on the 10th and the 11th. I got the same letter over again yesterday. I don't think they realized they had sent it to me before. So it was the same exact letter, so I did not forward that along. But, and it's the same thing. They're going to negotiations on the 10th and 11th. It's over the pension plan. The first wants them to continue to use the first 401k that they offer, and the Teamsters would like them to do a 2 more Teamster thing. Obviously have no knowledge of what's better for them. They'll work that out. I talked in a South Central superintendent meeting. I didn't do any of the talking. I listened to a lot of veteran superintendents talk about this, who echoed what First has told me, that this happens every time they negotiate, is that there's a threat to a strike, and then at the last second people settle and everyone's good and good. Optimistic, I don't know if it was just an error. I'm gonna chalk it up to optimism. When the union leader put that big article out about the buses, you notice Litchfield was not mentioned as one of the districts that would go to strike. So hopefully that means our bus drivers are happy. They seem wonderful people when I've seen them out doing the
Bunch of
bus
them live in
stuff and
town,
everything. And yeah, so maybe they're not as involved and heavy in the strike stuff, more localized, and it's our people, so we're doing good. But fingers crossed that continues to progress well in the negotiations. I don't have any additional updates on that, other than we've had bus transportation every day. We've had to change up some bus stops here and there, and First has been amenable to that, and we're doing okay, so.
Awesome.
We're doing okay with the reduced number of buses, because we went down from.
I mean, it's tight. Like, are we doing okay? Yes. There's a couple of the buses that are like packs, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that will kind of fluctuate as the year goes on. People get more or less involved in after-school activities, from time to time. People's pickup plans change and go everything. My understanding, in particular, is bus 8 is really tight, and that is particularly for the elementaries.
my
And
kids'
I'm still
bus.
learning the neighborhood, so please jump in and correct me, but there's 2 prominent after-school care places on that route.
Yep.
So it picks up a lot of kids from that. And so they're looking at that. We made a slight adjustment to the elementary one. I sent that out. you
Yep, we saw that.
probably got that
Yep.
as you're sitting here. So they're gonna continue to kind of monitor that and head counts to see if they need to make any additional adjustments. There's not a ton of wiggle room in the other buses. It's not like overpacked, but that I think with the after school care, it's sometimes your numbers can
tricky.
fluctuate depending on who's going on any given day. But does it work? Yeah. I don't think it's unsafe or anything, but they're definitely full buses when you see the kids get on. But, honestly, you should have full buses. Like, that's kind of the point. You don't want 5 kids on a bus on
Right.
every route, so.
All right, we'll turn it over to Ms. Starling for an update.
All right, I have the financials linked as of the end of August. We, as you'll notice in the manifest, we didn't have as many coming through this time with Ann on vacation for a couple of weeks, which is great for her. So we'll have a extra large manifest for you next time. I've been working on the DOE 25, which is quite extensive. I did get an extension through the Department of Education for, it's typically due on September 1st, so I have the extension for October 1st, and I'm working through that. I'll probably be reaching out to Doug, I'm sure, for some clarifications on things, but he left me really good notes, so that's been very helpful. Also, as far as the financials, the format that I've been using, of course, is what Doug was using, so I've just been updating that. If there's any changes or any extra information that you would like to see in there, please let me know. Just trying to continue to duplicate what he has done. And as far as the other item that I wanted to talk about was the professional staff expenditure projection. I know last time when we were talking about hiring some new people, we were talking about maybe the differences with steps and whatnot. So Holly was preparing the attrition spreadsheet that she does every year, just getting ready for budget season, so she just completed that a little bit early. So we're looking at it trending about 100,000 less than what we had projected.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll stay with that, and that includes a vacant position that we're holding with the previous salary, which was on the higher end of things.
Okay.
So should we be able to hire that position, we'll still be in really good shape.
Okay, thank you for that update.
Sure.
Any questions on the financials this evening? No?
Thank
Okay.
you, Julie.
Thank you, yes, that's great. Moving into public minutes from August 21st, has everyone had an opportunity to review those minutes?
Yep.
I'll entertain a motion,
We'll
please.
make a motion to approve the August 21st minutes.
We have a motion by Mr. Shoemaker,
Second.
second by Ms. Ames. Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? That carries 5-0-0. All right, next up, we have policies.
Yep. So we are moving on to a second read for some of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 with AC-R policies that are here. I did just send an email to Brian and Tina so we can get our next date on the calendar for policy, so we can start adding more. But these ones are here for a second read.
I have a fun one I want to discuss next.
Uh-oh.
No, it's good.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Kind of ties into facilities and like rental
Excellent.
fees and like, I
Excellent.
think we could get some more money for running out of facilities, so maybe we could update those numbers, so.
I have some input on that.
Sorry, does that, any of that influence any of these for second read tonight, or something?
No,
separate?
no, it's
Okay,
always separate.
all right.
I didn't get any questions. I didn't hear any questions
No, I
on
mean, they're pretty
policy, so I
straightforward
think
for me.
they are, yeah.
So I'll make a motion to approve ACR, ACR2, ACAC, and EBAB
I'll second.
for second reading. We have a motion by myself, second by Mr. Shoemaker. Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, all carried 5-0-0. Old business, we have board goals.
So I'm going to direct your attention to the second kind of link there, the SAU 27 superintendent goals. I talked about this a little bit last time, and we've done some work since then. These are, we'll call them the SAU/superintendent goals as they're written right there. The goals we kind of administratively kind of looked at, and the buildings kind of build off of there. What is different from last time we met is we added some action steps. We're still in kind of draft form. We have an administrative meeting tomorrow morning to kind of go over this and look at that. And as you look to do your board goals, you know, I don't, you can do what you want, but this is what we're working on. So maybe we can kind of tie the two things together, and I think they're broad enough where everyone kind of we actually used the board's previous goals as the launching off point to kind of write these goals. So they are all tied kind of together. So as you look at your own goals, we should set goals, but I really like these goals, and I don't know if I can recommend you maybe looking at these, and we can use this as a launching point for yours, or you can adapt these and we can do it together. Or I would love to sit down with you all and with maybe some of the administrators and some other people to talk about, we started talking about action steps and what are the, like, this is what's going to show that we're trying to meet that goal type of steps. Some of them are vague, some of them are a little more specific on what we're going to try and tackle with that. And again, this would be kind of over multiple years as we kind of all get to speed. But we got to kind of set some goals and take the draft off of this, at least from a superintendent standpoint, on what my goals are going to be. And likewise, I think it's probably wise for you as a board. I don't want to direct you exactly what to do.
So thank you for that, right? So
Yeah.
the superintendent and I have been emailing, trying to find dates to meet. I know that's what we have not been able to land on that.
Oh, okay.
And so I said, hey, why don't we talk about it tonight as a board, given that I think we're going to have time in our agenda to do so. And if the board's willingness to still have a separate session, we can do that. But I wanted to start to move the conversation along as well. For me, in review of this over the weekend, and I've been thinking about it, I think for me, I want to see more prominence on curriculum, right?
Right.
That's what is missing out of all this in my mind. There's mention of it, but it's not like a call out that we really need to improve on it.
Yeah.
Just my initial reactions.
I like curriculum. I know Sarah likes curriculum. I think we,
Like I see a curriculum website, cool. I'd rather focus on the actual curriculum itself than a website.
I know. I'm so glad you jumped on that one. That's almost like I planted you for that question right there. It's not. So we say curriculum website because this is going to be a little bit of a long explanation, but I'll get to the point. Going through the NEAS program, we were struggling with our curriculum at my previous place, and we reached out and we asked for like a mastery example of what like curriculum can look like for high school at the time, but that what they ended up was for a whole district, it's Madison School District down in Connecticut. And it is unbelievable, their curriculum. Like Sarah has been reviewing it as well. It really is like the model of what this looks like. The nice thing is you could tell they started with UDL and kind of like evolved it from there, which is what we have.
Okay.
Like, so there's like a lot of similarity to that.
Universal.
Understanding by design.
Yeah.
Understanding my design.
UBD, understanding. by
UBD,
design.
sorry, what did I say?
Universal design for learning.
You're gonna help me with these acronyms, yeah. Thank you.
It's all the same thing. So when we said develop a curriculum website, that's like my shorthand, like this is my goals of shorthand of like doing their curriculum, like designing our curriculum, like how they've set their curriculum. I can send the board the link and you can dig into their website and see the level and depth of what they talk about and how they tie it to their competencies, how they tie it to their portrait of a learner, how they tie it to everything that they kind of do. And like, that's where I think we want to take the next step with our curriculum. So we shorthand said website because what we're really after is doing what Madison does. So that was a perfect, because I've been dying to talk about this like curriculum stuff, and like kind of trying to push us to
teed you
that.
up tonight.
Yeah, that was great. Because when we were writing this, we didn't want to go like we want to jump in on curriculum, but didn't want to make that a repeat thing in every single one of these goals because it all kind of ties to curriculum.
Sure.
Like particularly like that first one, the learning, and then the transition piece, like a curriculum is a big part of that, right? And then communicating what we're teaching out and all of those type of things. So curriculum, like this is still in draft form, like I said, and if we can definitely put more curriculum heavy
And
language in
it's
there.
hard because, I mean, it could be super long, too. So we try to say it without like, the full.
How about something like data-driven decisions for curriculum improvement, right? Using some of the points that you mentioned earlier, Sarah, as a launching pad into what this could be.
Definitely.
But also keeping in mind, I think it was Jake's point, that there is data that is not being presented to us that is very indicative and very helpful in terms of planning what our goals should be as well.
Yeah, it's no secret that that's one of my biggest interests as far as goals go, is figuring out how do we measure success, and
Yeah.
how do we tie that to what we're doing.
Agree. We all agree, right? We're all
Right.
saying, let's
Yeah.
call it out.
Awesome, yeah.
So in terms of board goals, right, what's the direction here from the board?
I mean, I really do like the goals that the superintendent's presented, with the addition of what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I mean, when we started talking about this, the question generally, because I, had been a part of it once before, but do you go, top down, board sets general goals and then superintendent sets goals and everyone goes, I think we did it the opposite way, which is we're going bottoms up, which I actually prefer, to be perfectly honest, because I think the direction should come from that direction, from that way. And so for this to see it, even just clicking on between, the prior board goals and even just the titles, I really do like, instead of post-secondary pathways, I really do like the language of facilitating successful transitions, because it doesn't necessarily identify that there's only one direction for a student to go in. And again, I understand that was the goal before, but I feel like even just the label says it better to me. So I'm actually happy with these goals. I don't think they're all that different than they were before, but where they are different, I think it's important to.
Yeah, these words matter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, the only one that I was wondering about was number 5, just the communicate and connect with all stakeholders. Create clear, effective, and inclusive communication practices that ensure all individuals are well-informed and appropriately engaged. I just, and again, it says all individuals, but across the board, I mean, this includes the community,
Well, the community's up above too. I had that same reaction.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are we really talking about here? Are we talking about community? Or are we talking about internal to the district?
I think we're trying to do all of it, right? Like, I think we're trying to be better communicators out to the wider community, right, with everything that we're doing. I mean, we're gonna do something with elementary school. We need to be clear communicators on what that's doing. I think I'll continue to kind of pound this a little bit. We need to better PR on the good things happening, so people understand all the excellent things
We get your
kind of
emails on
going on.
Sundays now.
Yeah, like, and that's that's not all stakeholders, and talk about different ways we can kind of do those different things, but, like, that's school stakeholders, obviously, with that, but like, how do we promote all the wonderful things going on in schools, and inviting the community to see, like, a performing arts performance or a student, presentations and all these things, so people know what's going on in the schools, like, doing all that.
But that's true, and we talked about that once before, trying to get a broader mailing list than just to the families that have kids
Yeah.
in the school.
Yeah, and like kind of exploring what that is for this community, like, one of the communities I worked in, it was using the, like, youth athletic club web, email thing, because they had literally everyone's email from years and years in town, so if we needed to shoot something out from the school district, they were generous enough to send it out through their kind of server list, which hit like 5 times what the school server list was.
Well, the
you know?
town car registration list, because everybody's on that list now.
Yeah, and this part of it is
Really?
like the community aspect is
How
working
about we
with the
put it on
town,
the sign
right?
at the dump?
So I honestly, the things that you're talking about are things, when we were talking about GMS, those were some of the things that we had asked about. Can we have access? And she's like, nope, that list is locked down.
Yeah.
But we can put a survey or something on the dump.
Yeah.
But how are people gonna?
Yeah.
You've seen this? It's a beautiful digital sign,
It
right?
is.
This is the one at the dump?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's fairly new.
Oh, nice.
Just popped up one day. The,
I have, well, no.
I just
It's a
wanna
story
s-
for another
I-
time, like digital sign stories.
I just want to say really quickly, because you guys got excited about the curriculum thing, and you brought up that you're looking at something from Madison, Connecticut. I just popped on just because I wanted to see how they perform, and they outperform the state of Connecticut, averages in every single category.
Yeah.
So
I just put in a link, as we were talking, to their website on that goal sheet under the example, like you should be able to click on it. And it takes you to all their curriculum documents, and you can kind of scroll through, and like, the crazy thing is Litchfield's not that far from that. You know, like when you review all the documents and all the work that's gone into Portrait of a Learner, they call it Portrait of a Graduate here, and everything like that, it's not that far away. And that's what I think we keep trying to emphasize, turn back to the PR, like, there's a lot of good
We just need
things
to figure
happening
out how
here.
to get it
Let's
out there.
get this out there,
And
you
part
know?
of the problem is that I'm assuming they have a lot more personnel who can.
Yeah,
do
it's
this,
a much bigger
you
school
know?
district,
Yeah.
right, you know, their curriculum director does that.
What
You know.
what are the board's thoughts? I honestly asking, I mean, I think we've talked about it before, and I think you're bringing it up now. Is there an action step in terms of employing or using an employee that's already here part-time or a stipend position who would be doing PR, like doing that positive PR stuff? Not necessarily to put more on the plates of the administrators and the directors that
Teachers,
are already swamped, but someone who may, for a stipend, want to be in charge of bolstering those accounts or adding, you know, if someone were to take your superintendent update and put it on the WhatsApp page, I don't know, just having like that PR and having that pause of someone who can think about it and say, okay, well, how is this going to be viewed by the overall community? I don't know.
Yeah, and I want to look at some things. I don't want to commit to anything because some of this is going to probably come up through budget proposals.
Yeah.
Like, I think
Yeah.
there's some different ways, we can change some of our like school messenger is what we use right now, and I would like to look at what other options are. I was familiar with a much different
Yeah.
It's Parent Square,
Parent
like
Square,
that Bedford uses, Bo uses.
Yep.
That's very user-friendly and works very well on a cell phone, right? So it's a
Yep.
very easy, it's like a social media, but not, but it like reacts that way.
Yeah.
Where, you know, people can comment, you can share it on different social media pages, you can do all this stuff because it acts like a social media
Yeah.
like thing, but it's
Isn't School
not.
Messenger somewhat new? I feel like it is.
School Messenger's new.
Yeah.
Power School and.
Did we get, I think we got it when we switched to Power School.
It's the
School
Power
Messenger just
School
came out at
Messenger
the
software.
second half of last year.
Yeah.
Was the School Messenger.
But I think we got it, like we had it. when
We just haven't turned it on or anything.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
wasn't
And
used
as I learn
consistently.
it more, I'm getting more comfortable with it. The first time I tried to use it, I was like, oh, give me my
Yeah.
Parent Square back.
Yeah.
But now that we've like done it a
Change
couple
start.
times, yeah, like I'm getting more used to it.
Right.
But I think, you know, part of this is looking at it through the budget lens of, you know, we haven't done that legwork and stuff. But there are different, I'm making everyone sit through a presentation tomorrow at our admin meeting for like this school app type thing that might help with some communication things as we explore different options
More
to
to
kind
come.
of do that.
Yeah. But I guess, okay, so second piece then, action steps, should there be some type of, goal in terms of engaging the Litchfield community in a positive way in terms of either bringing people in? I know at one point at GMS, they were trying to bring in people in town that taught the kids to knit. Like, there was like 7,
Well, hey.
people that did crochet
I know we're
or,
getting into a facilities update here, hopefully in a minute, right?
As soon as you want it.
Okay. As a part of that, I think there's a survey likely going out at some point
Yeah.
to everyone in town.
Yeah.
Is that an opportunity on that
That survey's in your email.
to?
Effective. like,
Maybe not
yeah.
that one, after everything we went
Yeah, I
through
was
to
gonna
get
ask
that
for
Okay.
to where it
All right.
is.
I'm just saying, if we're sending out a communication
But if we
townwide,
get
right?
good, you know, kind of get good response rate to that type of survey, maybe that's stuff we start using.
could we add
right?
a number?
Follow
of-
Litchfield School District here.
Sorry,
right?
I know you guys worked hard on that, but can we
Yeah.
add a number 11 that says, do you want to be on a listserv for the district to hear district news? Because then they can get your superintendent email. They may not have kids and not care about half the stuff in it, but they can have that update. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, but
No, I like
I think
that.
there are
mean,
people in town that do want the updates that don't get them now. But as a way of sharing that positive
If we're
information.
sending an outreach, we're paying for the expense to send it out. Is there a line we can add to allow people to interact back with us?
I'd be happy to do that for you.
Yeah, let me think about how we can do that.
Yeah,
Put it
you
on
guys can decide the best way to do it.
Well,
but-
we are asking for their email address. And maybe we just change it for future communication or something.
Or do you want to receive future
Yeah.
communications about the district? I mean, again, it doesn't have to be about facilities, but just about the district.
Yeah.
We just add that under.
Do you want to know when soccer games are? Do you want to know when the plays are? Do you want to know, whatever fun things are happening, concerts?
I don't
you
want to
know?
hold anything up. It's not meant to be disruptive. It's meant to.
No. Well, I mean, we have the survey for you guys to approve anyway, so.
Cool.
I mean, at a minimum, we can put the district website like on
Yeah.
for the
Oh,
survey
absolutely.
we put out, you know, like that type of stuff.
So Shoemaker's gonna turn off Remax and stop looking at properties in Madison, Connecticut, right?
That was not a that was a legitimate education website.
Wasn't there a something Madison website that got in trouble?
Oh, no.
I think that's a different Madison.
All right, so you ready for facilities?
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna go.
But sorry. So where with the goals, like, what do we want to do? We talked a lot. We can update this some more with some more
I
critical
like
language
them.
and stuff.
What I'd like the board to consider is if you have comments, if you want to influence some changes, right, add in your comments or share them with the superintendent over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'd like to be in a position where hopefully at our next meeting, we're comfortable with this document and
Yeah.
maybe can even approve it.
Yeah, right now we don't have edit access. Can we
I can
be,
give you edit
can we have edit access? So we, just commenting, so we can
Yeah.
comment our stuff on the side?
Yeah,
Then it's all one place for you,
that'd be
rather than
great.
getting 5 emails.
Do you have that saved in more than one place in case someone were to accidentally delete it?
I do.
Not that I'm planning on doing that, but
I could do it.
Hey, check out this house.
okay. Are you good for me to
Yeah,
do
I'm
facilities
good.
then? I'm gonna go in reverse order of how we handled the facilities meeting because it'll be faster, for my thought processes. So the last thing we covered in facilities, we have had Dan DeWitt reviewing School Dude, which is our like all-encompassing wonderful software that is not properly set up. And ultimately, he sat down with Dave Ross and figured they really what we figured out is that like most things, someone implemented this system. It doesn't sound like it was fully implemented or implemented well, and what we're left with is a system that we are not really using appropriately, and so ultimately the facilities committee feels as though it's important for the board to consider how, doing something about that, right, to re-implement that. The recommendation was see if, I think it's Siemens that comes in, it's their program, if they can come in and kind of just like reboot the whole thing. I know the superintendent mentioned that there's certain things that we're using that for that he would much rather go back to paper on because it's just much easier. And there's just other aspects of it too, like we're not really tracking use of outside parties of our schools, and we're not actually accounting for the costs associated with that or recouping some of those costs.
My reaction
Yes.
to that, right, is
No.
we can have all the software in the world. If we don't have people that input it, none of it matters. And
Or,
my
or
concern,
know how to use it.
right, my concern is like we don't have the people with the time and bandwidth to properly use any of this because we're short-staffed.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would say is I think our maintenance teams would be able to use this if it was set up in a way that was just
A mobile app and
if it was just set up in a way that they could use it. I think it's important for us to be able to do that so that way we can better track. We don't have a good maintenance plan for our schools right now, and I think that would be a good solution.
The other piece of it too is, you've got staff members who have been told over and over and over again. Well, years ago when we first got School Dude, it was if it's not in School Dude, it doesn't happen. So we might have to retrain our maintenance staff, but we also have to then
Oh,
retrain
absolutely.
all of our staff members so that they know how to put in, I want to reserve this conference
I
room.
need a light
or-
bulb or.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the
My window
maintenance of
won't
filter
shut, that
changes
kind of
up
stuff.
on
But
Element's
the
roof.
but the nice thing about the system is it's capable of, if I need a light bulb, it's capable of knowing what we're down to like what we're paying for light bulbs. So from
How many light bulbs do we have left?
we can
Yeah.
much better track what it's costing us to do those things. So I think
Yeah, so I reached out to them today, and got in contact, got a call back from them. We're gonna set up a time for a small group of people to start, probably myself, Julie, and maybe Dave and
Ross,
Renee,
yeah.
and kind of sit down, maybe grab one of the tech people and sit down with their team and almost start literally from scratch. Like the guy on the phone, he's like, sounds like you actually just need to talk to our salespeople first and have an understanding of what you have, but not to sell it to us, but they do that high
Right.
level, this is the product you have
Yeah.
talk. Usually they're trying to sell it to you, but we already have it. So, but that level of, cause I was just look, we're all new. Can you just give us the how does this thing work talk? And he's
Well,
like,
and I
"Yeah,
think that
can
we
figure
constantly
Sense.
end up in a position where we don't, sometimes, like, there's no, we don't have the bandwidth to hire an expert who just oversees that, right? So we have to figure out how to have it properly implemented, and then in a way that we can continue passing this forward. If you have someone turn over, there's like an actual, like,
Right.
someone that's willing to pick up the slack. Because I think it inadvertently fell on Dave Ross, but I don't think Dave Ross was ever fully trained on it. So it's kind of just like,
Yeah.
he's doing his
and-
best.
I think you got
Dave Ross
Canada-
is doing his
keys to
best
the
in
car.
serving as a custodian for the
Right.
last 3 years
Right,
because
yeah.
we haven't been fully staffed.
And
Right.
not, focusing on the maintenance of our equipment and things that we need.
Yeah.
Right. So that's that. The biggest focus of our meeting was to talk about the survey and the work that's been done on the survey. So that is in your emails. I don't know if you received it, or I obviously didn't have a chance to look at it. It was just finalized this afternoon, so, and I didn't see it in my email until I was here.
So has the committee reviewed and
Yes, so,
approved this?
so the committee has reviewed and sent this for our approval.
Right.
There were a couple things that I do think that we should point out to the board that did not come through because they were struck. You can see what was struck on here. A couple contentious things.
I don't see anything struck.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, we don't have
Am I
we don't have a red line version of it.
We just have the.
We just have the
final.
final version.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You just wanna point us to it?
Yeah, I can. Well, I'm trying to make sure that this is actually the.
It
There was
says
some-
final on it.
There was some
Yeah, no,
word-
I'm just trying to make sure that if I'm
Is there a
looking at
final
the minutes.
final?
That, no, what you have is the
Okay.
final, but I
Okay.
just, in terms of things that were kind of pulled out. One of the biggest things was, there was a lot of debate over whether to add a question as to, did you vote yes on the warrant last year? Did you vote no? Did you not vote, or do you not want to share? Ultimately, it was the majority of the committee that decided to strike that. I personally felt like there could be some use to having some of that data, right? Because we want to be able to figure out if you didn't support that, we want to know what everyone wants.
What do
But
you
we want to know,
support, right.
if you didn't support that, what are you, are there any trends among people who didn't support it and what they want to see, just so that we could put something forward that's useful.
What were the reasons for striking it? Just curious.
I think the biggest one was we are collecting personal information.
Oh, okay,
And
right.
so
'Cause
even
we
though
have
there
it
was,
in.
my feeling was you could say, I don't want to answer this.
Yeah.
But I think that was a big thing. People wanted it to be, to feel
Yeah.
more comfortable. And I can understand that, so
Yeah,
it
okay.
I think some of the other questions can lead us to why people didn't vote for the school or did or did not vote for the school.
Well, we outright asked that question
Yep.
in number 2.
right. So we're hoping to be able to gather, you'll see in here that there were direct questions on some of the options that have already been floated. And, we know from having done some of the work on some of these that they certainly were not close to ideal in terms of either cost or whatever. But we do want to get a feel for where the community's minds are at on things. So I think it's very clearly noted. Some of these things may not be possible, but we need to know what you're looking, where your thoughts are at. The other thing that I will point out, because it was a big point of contention, Mr. O'Blenis does not feel like we are sufficiently inquiring about repairs only.
Repairs in what sense? Repairs at
Repairing
GMS?
the HVAC.
Yes, yeah, repairs only for GMS. Like, his belief, I don't wanna put words in his mouth, but my understanding of his belief is that, based off of the Turner report, that we can just go in and we can do certain things and make the school livable. I put a lot of credit in what Kyle Barker says, because he's done extensive work in there, and Kyle's point has always been, if you're going to do a lot of these things, you're going to have to do a lot of them together, and it's not, I think Ron is anticipating that that's like a $6 million project, and I just don't think, aside from not solving many of our issues, I don't think it's,
So was there a proposed question that
So
got
we
struck
did-
from this?
Um,
Or-
so we did include,
I feel like it's covered in number 4.
I think we included it in number 4.
Would you consider renovating GMS
No, he wanted to
without?
go, he wanted to add another option that was even less than renovating. like
Right, for-
strictly
for
just
repairs only.
Fixing the
Right.
HVAC and fixing the wiring and fixing.
I thought we did something with that.
But in terms of renovating,
I guess I would consider that renovation.
that is
So
renovation.
I will let you know what his
Oh,
distinction is.
okay.
His distinction is a renovation is like a full rejuvenation of the building, whereas a repair is truly just, we're not coming in here, you know, all those ceiling tiles look like garbage, but we're not fixing that. We're just fixing the HVAC vent above it or whatever. He's saying that, because Kyle
Then
Barker's
maybe you
estimate
consider
was-
2 questions, right? Would you consider renovating GMS? Question mark. Second question, right, or an additional question, would you consider in addition to GMS as opposed to?
Well, that is,
something
I think
else?
that is, we have renovating without adding an addition, renovating with adding an
Okay,
addition.
so it's
Yeah,
number
yeah,
4.
that's in there.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was really just, I just wanna, you know, because.
It's another distinction that I feel very strongly wouldn't address the issues that we have at GMS.
Right,
And so I think if it were to be a question on this or an option that people could choose, is it actually something that we would even consider?
so I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the sort of will of the committee was, they felt that the renovating option without adding an addition was sufficient enough to at least gauge interest
Right.
that we could present something. But I just did wanna make the
Yeah.
board aware.
Yeah, to me, number 4 is that, because without adding addition, we're not addressing any of the space issues, we're not addressing any of the enrollment concerns whatsoever. So to me, it's just literally fixing what we have, which I think is what he is. I mean, I guess you could get into a matter of, are you fixing cosmetics or are you fixing, you know, major problems, but I think he's
Well,
gonna get
there
the
was
data
talk of
he
the
wants
mechanical
from
part
there.
of it too.
And I think the
Yeah.
renovations are really gonna be telling on how people answer 7, 8, and 9.
I agree.
Yeah.
Right, because ultimately, if somebody says you're gonna consider sending to, you know, grade 7 and 8 to CHS and, you know, or perhaps repurposing the 3 buildings, right? If those would support or would strongly support, those automatically, in my mind, go to renovation.
Yeah.
Because I have to be able to renovate in order to solve.
Right.
So anyway, so this is what we are proposing as what we want to get out, and the goal is to get those out at the primaries next
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So you're gonna hand them out?
We're gonna have people at the polling place, handing them out.
Question then, okay.
Yep, we just can't be inside the building. Kim's gonna put boxes out here at the town clerk and at the building inspector. We'll have people do the
collect
dump to, where they can fill them out and collect them. There'll also be a QR code. And Dan was gonna try to get us a digital copy of the survey where people can do it on SurveyMonkey.
Okay. Great.
Are the schools gonna be trying to have people do it at open houses?
We didn't talk about that.
Cause there's.
When is the open house?
Or parent.
Next
So
couple weeks.
next week is LMS open house, I know is Wednesday, the 11th.
I think we were focused just on getting it there for the polls,
Okay.
right?
That
And
was
we'll
our
have
big push, but
to
I
get
think
there.
that that's a
But
great
yes, I
point.
think we should do it at the schools, sure.
How would-
I mean, I'm sure I'm gonna send it out.
Duplication.
Yeah.
So by asking them to identify themselves, that's.
I identify as Matt Shoemaker.
Well, so I did bring the point up that you could identify as whoever you want and create an email address for it. It's the
Are
best
you
we
talking
can do.
about people voting multiple times?
Yeah. QR
So-
code, right? I
Right.
pick one up at voting.
Well, here's the thing, so they did with economic development, there were people who did that. So they were able to cull out folks from the same IP address. If somebody voted 25 times, maybe they counted 2, only because it might have been husband and wife or whatever from the same house.
Yeah.
So there's a way on, at least on the SurveyMonkey part, to be able to,
It's the written ones.
it's the written ones that are gonna be, that have the
Yeah.
most opportunity to be.
Or if you do one on
Plus,
SurveyMonkey and you do a paper one.
Do you have a
and
suggestion?
do-
I can see it.
No.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
I think it's trust, right?
In the grand
Like,
scheme
it's
of things,
just-
we really
This is
wanted,
open, right? So
we really wanted, Jen had brought up that UNH does sponsoring stuff. We really wanted to see if they could help us, that we have not been able to get a
Yeah,
response.
they did not
They're
respond to
in
us at
the
all.
midst of primary and elect,
Oh,
UNH
right.
is being hired out by
Yeah, that
every
makes sense.
major polling company in the country right now.
So. yeah,
They
that
would
makes
be
sense.
who I would want to do it too, but
Yeah, that's where we started. We just got no response.
So, ultimately, there will be a lot of manual tabulation of some of this.
Yeah, and so the question is who on the facilities is kind of taking that on for the analysis of this?
I think,
We're gonna do it we'll do it electronically, and then the conversation was, we'll take the paper ones and enter them into SurveyMonkey.
there were a
And then
few
we'll
different
get the stats.
volunteers. I think
But there was some
Daniel Jones
We
was
talked about doing it at the next meeting, like taking all. the
Taking them
paper
all and
ones.
keying
Maybe
them.
not the next one, cause it's next week, but
Yeah.
at a future meeting and literally distribute them, have everyone tabulate
Working
because.
session.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so. And the other thing is, we're gonna continue the survey. We didn't say there's an end date for the survey.
Yeah.
And we actually had talked about trying to do it in November too. It'll be cold for those sitting at the table.
I think you
But-
need an end date.
You need an end date because we have to take action.
You have
based
to
on
take
those
action, but
results.
then you're also alerting the community that says, if you submit after this date, you miss your chance,
Yeah.
right? I do think it needs an end date.
I mean, we're
What do you
hoping to use the
propose?
results to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So if we extend it till the end of the year, we don't have time to make
No, I-
decisions.
Look,
think-
if we're
what
starting to
about Halloween,
distribute this
October
next, yeah,
31st?
exactly, you give people a month,
Yeah.
right? Actually, it'd be close to 2 months at that point.
Yeah.
How do we, how are we gonna publicize that piece of it?
So let's just work backwards, right? If we're making decisions or perhaps any decisions that would influence March, end of October, we get results. It will take the committee probably a month. They meet twice, Thanksgiving,
Well,
We're actually meeting 3
times.
times.
can we get more volunteers to help tabulate and enter results?
But then it's the analysis of
Oh,
those
thanks for
results.
volunteering.
I'll do it.
Jen was volunteering middle school detention students.
She wants to-
That's not bad.
Maybe not a month, maybe that's aggressive, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think it all depends on how many we get, right?
I think you're gonna
Rich-
get a lot. I hope you get a lot.
So do I,
Yeah.
but
I hope you get a lot of paper.
that's mean, Andy.
I don't care.
So
even if it's
Rich
paper,
estimated there might be 600 or 800 people who vote
Yeah.
in the primary, right?
Yeah,
It's usually
it's not
not
a-
very
it's
well
not
attended.
big.
Pretty low,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then whatever we do over the next several weeks, I think if we got 1,000 responses,
we'd be in good shape.
that would be super. But
Yeah.
I would be surprised if we got that many. I mean, the economic development survey was done where people were literally not allowing people to vote until they took the survey. And I think we got 1,500,
Yeah, whoever shows up to vote.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys did it at the election where we had the biggest turnout.
Turnout, right? It was a
ever.
huge turnout, so.
So
In
maybe-
town history.
Maybe late November, early December, we can start to figure things out.
Well, that's what we'll need to have
I mean, I
warrant
think-
language by what, January?
End of December.
Well, so
End of December,
our
so-
hope is that taking this information, combining it with what we get from onsite, insight, we're gonna have a whole lot of, in the other things that are going on, the inspections, we're gonna have a whole lot of information that we can make some.
So onsite insight, just back on that, right? So hearing at our next meeting in 2 weeks, working backwards, right?
Yep.
They're gonna need, I'm gonna say a month to put together their analysis,
I would imagine, yeah.
right? So we're getting something from them hopefully by the end of October.
Yeah, I can reach out with more detail now tomorrow to them. They've been very responsive when I've reached out and
So it's
say
probably gonna be
like,
same timing.
So I was gonna say,
thereabouts.
instead of Halloween, do you wanna do October 15th I mean, it's still a month.
Yeah.
Because election's
long
September
time.
10th, that's still a month to give people to check in
Turn in their
and
surveys.
vote and turn.
time.
Yeah. I think a month is a long time, yeah. But then that pushes our time, we get the data
Yeah.
2 weeks quicker in theory.
And maybe we have it by election day.
November.
you can also start tabulating this stuff.
Right, as soon as it
You know,
comes
as
in,
soon
you
as it
start
starts
tabulating
coming
it.
in,
Right.
Right, yeah, mid-October, let's do it. Are
So we
you
should probably
looking
add
for a
that to the
motion
survey.
To approve this, or just consensus, you're good to go?
I don't know. You're the chair, what do you think we should do?
We'll just do a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the
Survey.
survey and, add an end date for the survey results, or responses to come in by October 15th.
Second?
A motion by Ms. Harrison, second by Mr. Plansky. Additional discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? You guys are approved 500.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, and thank
Committee will
you
be-
to the committee
Yes, that's a lot of work.
It's been a lot of work, it's been a lot of debate on this, it's been a lot of, I think about the early meetings after March, it's been a lot of getting everyone together and aligned and kind of marching in the same order. And, thank you to that committee for all you're doing.
It's been much smoother since we kind of got past what the rules were gonna be, and
Yeah.
It's a great group of people. We're lucky to have them all.
Her teeth are chattering over here.
I'm so
She's-
cold. Anybody else?
75, we'll see.
It's
71.
75? Oh my God.
No, I turned it to
71.
75, it's 71.
Is it?
It is not 71.
No way. Those fans just turned on, I swear.
no heat till November 1st.
Your heated best.
I do. I thought it'd be good at least the first meeting in September.
All right, great. Any other updates, superintendent or facilities?
Nope.
All right, we'll move into school board comments, please. Any comments from any board members?
I would like to make a comment. Happy opening to school, everybody. It sounds like everything went really well. And everybody's excited to learn and teach and keep on moving, which is great. I just wanted to let the board know that I have a call tomorrow with Zach from the New Hampshire School Funding Fairness Project. We're going to talk about kind of Litchfield situation. They're going to do some research, and I'm hoping to get a date set for a community information night. So I won't make a date until I go through you. I think you probably have
Yeah, we
the
can just
master
talk
calendar.
together.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can just, I'll have them pick a few dates that they can make it, and then we'll figure that out and organize it.
Cool.
And then we'll get the word out.
Okay, thank you for your efforts on that. All right, we'll move into manifest. I think the manifest
Has 3.
has 3 signatures on all, so that is good to pass back. Moving into our second round of community input this evening. Any community members care to speak to the board? We'll close community input. And with that, we'll close our public session. I'll entertain a motion to move into non-public session.
moved.
For RSA 91A 3, A, B, and C. We'll cover the grounds.
Matt
Motion.
moved, I second.
We have a motion by Mr. Shoemaker, second by Ms. Ames. Additional discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? That carries 5-0-0. Good night, everyone, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Saris.
I'm gonna go get a hoodie.
I really loved the lunch and learn yesterday. I hung out in the lunch and learn for like a half hour.
You learned?
The lunch, I did learn.
Yeah, did you just learn?